BookTok sold more than 50 million recommended books across Europe in 2025. And this is why you should be paying attention if you're a writer or an author like me. So most authors, they will market their book by saying what it is about, but readers usually buy books based off how the book makes them feel. And this one difference is the difference between what will make a book a smashing success on BookTok or not. And in this video, I will help you understand how modern readers find book, especially through BookTok style discovery, and how you can make your own book easier to recognize, recommend, and remember. Stick around to the end because the last section of the video is a Q&A where I will answer your most asked question about this topic. If you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Natalie. I'm an author in the Growth Markter, and I help writers come up with content ideas. I'll help writers accelerate their author careers one step at a time so that you can get back to writing again. So let's start with the mistakes that I see that a lot of authors are making. And that is that they try to describe the content of the book instead of sharing the experience of what the book is about. And it's a huge difference for us as consumers because we get bombarded with messages and content all day long. So it's a lot more like you can't just tell someone this is a good book. Is it a good book? Is it a bad book? That doesn't make the reader feel anything. But if you are able to share content that makes them feel something, that is how you make them remember you. Because feelings are still very primal. It's a great way to reach through to your potential audience. So this is the first lesson that I'm going to teach you. I see authors saying that my book is about a woman who moves to a small town and discovers family secrets. I see that kind of content all the time. And the thing is, it's not working. It will not move the sales at all. Because for me, when I hear that, it sounds like meh. I don't feel anything when I hear that. But if they instead would put it like this is for anyone who loves small town secrets, complicated sisters, and books that makes you feel cozy until they suddenly break your heart. Now that book I want to read. That sounds like the perfect read for me when it's autumn outside and I can curl up with a good book and a cup of tea. When you're trying to market your book or yourself on BookTok or at any platform, you need to understand that the goal is not just to say, come buy my book. It's to say, this book will help you come up with a consistent writing routine if you're struggling with that. This is the answer to one of your problems, or this book will inspire you so that you won't ever get stuck when it comes to coming up with ideas, or whatever it is. If it's a fiction book, of course, now I had two non-fiction examples because I have the books in front of me, but if it's a fiction book, this book will help you escape your everyday chores so that you can relax in a beautiful fantasy world where everyone is nice to each other, or whatever it is you're writing. I don't know what you're writing, so it's really hard to come up with a pitch just from the top of my head. Lesson number one is you need to make them feel something. Whether or not you personally like TikTok, BookTok has become one of the clearest places to see readers' psychology in public. BookTok recommended and sold more than 50 million copies across Europe in 2025, generating more than 800 million euros according to TikTok's announcement. And the lesson from this article is not that you should go viral on BookTok. That is never the goal. The goal is to show up consistently and deliver content that makes people feel something and that makes them curious about you as an author and about your book. But how do you do that? The publishing industry has changed. Before, when people discovered a new author, they would look at the author, the title of the book, they would probably read the blurb or maybe chapter 1, and then they would buy the book, or they would hear someone talking about it, get recommended or stuff like that. But that's not how we find new books these days. The new social media driven model has a lot more to do with emotions, tropes, and vibes for discovering new books. Then on top of that, you will add some sort of social proof. Maybe you have other people on BookTok talking about the same books or the same tropes that you're interested in. That will create an interest, which will get the reader more curious about your book. After that, they become curious. They will maybe start researching, looking at your cover, seeing if it looks professional, if they get if you have the sort of reader promise that they want to get out of reading that genre. And then they will probably look at reviews and after that buy the book. So it is not what it used to be. But this also means that it's a great opportunity for you to actually start creating content around your book in a way that is much more accessible to everyone, so that you can reach out to your audience. A reader might not start searching for your name. They might start seeing someone cry over your book, laugh about a trope, showing beautiful sprayed edges, rank their favorite morally gray characters, or say that this book is exactly what found family dynamic should be like. This is how I discover books on BookTok as well. Or I see a fun meme about it, or a fun video. So remember that and start looking at yourself. Like, how do you discover new authors and new books? Pay attention, because there are lessons for your own marketing embedded in them. But what actually makes a book discoverable right now? Well, a discoverable book usually has one of these things. First of all, it probably has some sort of emotional promise. Maybe it is that it will make you cry, it will make you laugh, it will make you fall in love again, it will have a happy ending. Make sure that the promise of the premise is very clear from your book. Is it an enemies to lovers? Like, you can even write it out in the blurb if you want to, but make the way the reader will feel very clear from the beginning. Number two is the fact that it probably has some sort of clear reader identity. Is it for the older daughter that always have to prove themselves or always have to be perfect? Is it a book for heroines who love morally gray characters? Is it a book for fans of academic mysteries? Or for people who grew up feeling like they were the responsible one? Or is it for burnt out millennials who just want a cozy fantasy to flee into when the world is going up in flames? Number three is the fact that it usually has a very clear hook or very clear tropes. I don't want you to underestimate how much people on BookTok love their tropes, because that is a very clear promise on what kind of book, what kind of story that the reader can expect. Is it an enemies to lover? Does it have found family? Does it only have one bed? What are the tropes that readers want from the kind of book that you're writing? Be explicit about that and talk about that in your content. Number four is that you can create clear comparisons. If this and this had a baby, you should read this. It could be Knives Out meets Gilmore Girls. It could be Hunger Games, but in a ballet school. Or Pride and Prejudice with witches. When you compare different titles, that is not copying. That is just creating, like, sharing the sort of emotions that you want to evoke with your books. Number five is the fact that you should create shareable scenes or moments. And don't be afraid of like spoiling the plot or stuff like that. If you're writing a romance novel, we already know that they're gonna end up together. So if you have a juicy, spicy romance scene that is still suitable for social media, so it can't be too many chilies in there, share it. Create a post where you do a carousel post where we can read out parts of the scene. This is super interesting, because then, you get a feel for the story, for the voice of the author. But then at the last slide, we see which book it is. It's perfect. You can also share, like, if you take a print screen of your Kindle and then you just highlight different words and parts of it, that is also a great way to share like a taste of what the book is like. Share scenes, share moments, and look at the data and see which one are performing better than the others. This is a key insight for you to know what you should be creating more and more content about. Last but not least, I wanted to answer some of the most common questions that I get when it comes to BookTok. And the first one is, how do readers find new books? Readers find books through a mix of social media platforms, recommendations, bookstores, online retailers, newsletters, podcasts, book clubs, libraries, Goodreads, you name it. But the biggest shift is that the discoverability is we see it increasingly in social media, and emotions are much more important than categories or genres right now. So focus on the emotional hooks when you're trying to sell your book using social media. And be authentic. Please be authentic, because right now we would rather see you no makeup on, being honest, even sharing, when you're laughing mid-sentence in a short form video, than is super polished with a filter that makes you look much younger than you are. Be authentic and be yourself, because we want to connect to other humans. How does BookTok sell books? BookTok sells books by making books feel socially urgent. It turns books into a shared emotional experience. Everyone is reacting to this, or this trope is exactly what I love. But also it's a great way to actually do, like, you can film, you can have a live going when you are packing up pre-orders from your book, talking about your story and stuff like that. Social selling is becoming increasingly important. And if you live in a country where you can sell via TikTok Direct or via TikTok Live directly, that's amazing. In Sweden, where I live, we can't do that right now, unfortunately. But I hear that that is a great way to sell directly to your customers. Because if you are talking to your customers and saying that, if you buy this book directly from me right now, I will assign it to you, I will do this and this and this, maybe I will throw in an add-on or whatever it is. Like, that is a great way for you to sell directly. So don't be afraid to start experimenting and trying different things. Do authors need TikTok? Is also a common question. And the answer is, of course, no. You don't need TikTok. You can be on other platforms. You need to know where your target audience is. And if your target audience primarily is on TikTok, then of course I will recommend you to be on TikTok. But if you're uncomfortable being on video, if you're uncomfortable creating that much content that it requires for you to grow and be visible over time on TikTok, then instead of that, do something else. Start a YouTube channel, have a podcast, find another way to reach out to your audience. But you need to create content and be visible for people to even know that you and your book exists. So no, you don't have to, but I think it is a great place to be. If you're not on TikTok, or even if you are on TikTok, I do recommend that you create a newsletter. At the end of the day, you own those contacts. You don't own the followers you have on social media. What makes a book go viral is also something I hear a lot of people asking. And here's the thing. What makes one book go viral won't work for the next one. There is no one size fits all here. There is no way to guarantee that your book goes viral. And at the end of the day, maybe you don't even want it to go viral. I've seen authors on TikTok being great at promoting their books, only to fall flat because their book wasn't ready to be released. So they had to, their career basically was shut down because the book was so bad. And they only got 1-star reviews and people were super angry. So virality is almost never the goal here. The goal is to show up consistently and to create a loyal reader base that will come back for your books again and again, and that will love your book and recommend them to other people. That is what we want from social media. So that is what kind of content you should be focusing on. Let me know in the comments if you are active on BookTok right now and what kind of BookTok account you have. Do you have one where you talk about books on your account, or one that focuses on your author journey? Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you soon. Bye.